Around here, we do a lot of work growing in self-awareness and leadership congruence, that alignment between how we see ourselves and how other people experience us. But one of the biggest questions that I get asked when I'm presenting and when I'm coaching and training is, okay, yeah, I want to grow in self-awareness and congruence, but what about when I work with people who don't seem to realize that they are unself-aware or that they are not congruent? It's a very common challenge working with people, so I want to talk about that today. Hi there, I'm LeAnne and I am a leadership consultant and a keynote speaker and the author of The Congruent Leader. And the work that I do with leaders and organizations often surfaces these gaps between what our intentions are and what our impact is. And that can happen individually, but it can also happen collectively, right? And one of the things that I see all the time is really well-intentioned leaders who will say things like, I very much value feedback, or I have an open door policy. But then when I'm in rooms with those people's direct reports, they say, yeah, they say there's an open door policy, but as soon as we raise a concern or discuss a challenge, they respond with defensiveness, they shut down. I feel like they're giving me the cold shoulder for the next few days. They do not, in fact, value feedback. They don't seem to value candid, reporting of challenges. So I see this a lot, and that is sort of human nature, right? It's difficult to hear critical and evaluative feedback, but what do you do when you report to a leader like that? Somebody who seems like they want to value feedback and they want to create psychological safety, but their behavior, their actions are not matching. They're not matching that. I want to give you just 3 quick tips that I think can help. It's not going to cure everything, unfortunately, but it can definitely help. So the first thing that I would say to anyone who is sort of working with someone, especially if you're reporting to someone who maybe isn't as self-aware, or if there is values misalignment, the first thing is watch patterns. Put on like your researcher hat, right? I don't mean get weird, but put on your researcher hat and start even journaling, document, pay attention. What are the things that get rewarded? What are the things that seem to get punished or are not tolerated? What are the kinds of things that your leader or coworker says consistently that sort of speak to what their actual values are, not necessarily their stated values, right? Watch for patterns. Put on your curiosity hat, your researcher hat, do some analytical work, watch for patterns first. Okay, the second thing that I recommend is that you get really good at asking questions that surface some of these gaps. Now, this is tricky because you don't want to do this in a way that is perceived as patronizing or disingenuous or manipulative, right? That's not the vibe we're going for. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is ask questions that get our conversational partner, our leader in this case, listening, to identify that perhaps there are some inconsistencies between what they say they value and what they're actually valuing. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. Don't overthink it. Some of these questions can be as simple as, how would you prefer that I raise concerns when we have them, right? Now that sounds like a very simple question, but what it does is it speaks to the fact that it is actually important around here that we're able to raise objections. How would you prefer that we do that? In many cases, what will happen is a leader, when they hear a question like that, they're confronted with that reality. Oh yeah, this actually, I should very much allow for that. I should value that, right? So it kind of puts them in a position to respond, hopefully with some transparency about what their preferences are, but it also allows for you to gently raise the fact that, hey, this is something that needs to be happening on the team. Here are a couple of other ideas, and we're gonna throw them up on the screen for you. Again, these are not like a panacea, they're not gonna cure everything, but they might help. So here are a couple of questions that you might be able to ask. You could say something like, I want to make sure that I'm understanding your expectations correctly because I have sort of picked up on 2 different messages. You might say something like, you've shared that this is important to you and I want to understand how that should look like in practice. I know that this value matters to you. Can you help me understand how you want it applied here? Or even something just like as simple as, I really want to align with your expectations. Can you help me understand what this value, whatever that is, looks like day to day? Okay, so those are some questions you can ask. Again, you want to do it in a way that signals your respect for their leadership position, but also in a way that gently surfaces that there are some challenges there, right? And then the third thing that I would say is, if your best questions are not working, if you're not getting the outcomes that you want, that it can be very helpful for you to document some of the inconsistencies that you're seeing. So this goes a little bit further than just step one, which is about watching the patterns. This is documenting some of that so that you can have a more strategic and structured conversation about some of the misalignment that you're seeing. That, of course, comes with its own host of challenges and techniques and tricks. So maybe we'll do that one next time. But those are 3 ways that you can start to hopefully work together in a more meaningful way with someone that seems, at least, that there's a little bit of misalignment there. So I hope that was helpful. As always, I encourage you to stick around, like and subscribe and share and do all of the things. If you know somebody who could really benefit from this message, send them my way, and I'll see you next time.